Today on the Republican Talk Show, we're going to be going through the Dr. Disrespect drama. We're going to be talking about Instagram exposing children to sexual content more than they do adults. I'm going to be talking about Trump banning the Department of Education, and we're going to be talking about the rally at the Bronx, probably the most embarrassing moment in political history. More about that in this video. Welcome to the RepubliKen Talk Show, everybody. I am your host, Kenneth Glenn, and today we got some more news for you. So, Dr. Disrespect, who is a Twitch streamer, he was a Twitch streamer. He's a gaming streamer. He streams himself playing video games, and there's some Twitter drama right now that involves him. So basically, he has been accused of sexting with a minor, is basically the accusation out there. An ex-Twitch employee who was fired from Twitch exposed that this was the reason that he was fired from Twitch. And there is one problem with this. This is not the case. Okay. Dr. Disrespect was not fired for sexting a minor. Okay. And I know it's not the case because if it was, Twitch would have brought that up. Twitch would have had him arrested. If Twitch had evidence of him sexting a minor, the logical thing is that they would have had him arrested. That is the only logical... That's the only logical action after that. A big streamer on your site is being accused of sexting with a minor. You would want that person to get arrested. But he never was. He was just fired, which is super weird. Like imagine if one of your employees, for example, let's just say a teacher was caught sleeping with a kid in the bathroom or whatever. And the school just fired the teacher, but didn't get her arrested. That would be very bad on the school. So if they knew about him sexting a minor and didn't do anything about it, that would have looked really bad on Twitch. On Twitch, that would have made them look super bad. Not like they could make themselves look any worse than they already do, but that would have really set the bar low. There's a controversy right now there's a controversial website called Kick. It's a streaming site, and basically the streamers on Kick just go on there and commit crimes. There's a girl who literally drinks and drives and gets high while driving on there, and that's literally what she does on there. You got other Kick streamers like Neon, for example, who's a pathetic dork, and basically he told a kid that he would R-word him until he bled. He told that to a 10-year-old. Completely fine, though. Who cares? So, if Twitch actually let this go, if Twitch let one of their biggest streamers sext with a minor and didn't do anything about it, that would be a big scandal. That would be very bad. The person who exposed this, his name was Cody Connors. So, like I said, he's an ex-Twitter employee, and he's a dork, by the way. He enjoys Taylor Swift, and he even tweeted, quote, "If you are a single woman on a first date with a dude that makes any negative remarks about Taylor Swift, you gotta dip. That guy is clearly a moron, and you just gotta keep moving on because you deserve better. You are like 2 sentences away from him telling you that he loves the police. Just keep moving, sis." So, yeah, this guy, complete moron. Because every logical human being would have negative remarks to say about Taylor Swift. And he's saying any negative remarks. Any. Ridiculous. So basically, according to this guy, if you were to say something along the lines of like, I like Taylor Swift's older stuff, but her new stuff's kind of bad, you would be the idiot. You would be the idiot in this case. You'd be the moron. This guy's clearly a moron. So this is the kind of incel gay guy we're dealing with here. This kind of guy. Also, someone who uses the word cis in everyday language. Also, usually not the most manliest guy out there. Anyway, it gets even more interesting past this though. So last year, he said he would expose why Dr. Disrespect was fired from Twitter if his concert sold out. So he's a musician, I guess. And probably not a very good one, seeing that he enjoys Taylor Swift, but I digress. And he recently exposed the truth on Twitter. The truth. Now, here's the big problem with this whole thing. Here's one of the many big problems with this. Typically, when someone gets fired, it's not known information on why that person got fired. It's not like spread. It doesn't spread like wildfire. Like, even like as a security guard, when someone gets fired, like I used to be a security guard at a high secure facility. And when someone got fired, we didn't even know. Unless we were involved with that situation, we had no clue what happened. Everything we knew was literally word of mouth. We would just come into work one day and be like, hey, by the way, this guy got fired. And we'd be like, oh, that's weird. And we just had no clue what happened. So it's kind of a stretch to think that this guy has the information why he had fired. It just doesn't make a lot of logical sense why he would have this information unless he was one of the higher up guys. But anyway, he says on a tweet saying that he got banned because he got... Okay, so this guy's grammar sucks. So my point of him being a moron still stands. So bear with me here. I'm going to try to read his crappy grammar. It says, he got banned because got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. I'm not sure what the Twitch Whispers thing is. I don't really know much about Twitch. The closest I've ever gotten to Twitch actually was when they had that free Fortnite skin you could get. And I didn't even use Twitch then. I almost did. And I just didn't care enough. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that he could read in plain text. So, and then he says, case closed, gang. And then I have the two tweets here of when he tried to get people to sell, or trying to sell his concert tickets. And then those looked like this. These were posted in 2023 saying, listen, if all 3 dates sell out, I'll tell you why he got banned. And then another one said, gamer friend, if you are on the East Coast, you should come down to one of these shows. At Slasher is coming to New York. That's a 500-person room, and we're like 70% on pre-sale. So I'm guessing 70% of the tickets were sold already. I always act out on Rod. And if the show sells out, I'll 100% explain why he got banned during the set. So basically, this failed musician, failed Twitch moderator, failed Twitch employee, is trying to explain is trying to sell concert tickets in order to sell these secrets, which is another reason why I think this is all a sham. Because why would Twitch let him speak this information out, just like blatantly? So many of Dr. Disrespect's co-creators stepped up and said things. We have Nadia, who's a complete moron as well. And she said, I don't understand how this is even controversial. His own company said, we assumed his innocence. We spoke with parties involved. These facts are difficult to hear. Why are so many people defending a pedo? So Nadia is saying that he is a pedophile. But, like I said, Nadia is a moron. This situation, or this is a stupid situation, okay? Everything here is fine. Okay, no victims. Okay, literally, no victims have come forward with this situation. No victims. There are no victims to show whether or not this is the case. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I always say this, I say this all the time. If something doesn't make sense, it's likely that it just doesn't make sense. It's likely that it's not true. Okay, no victims come forward. Some failed musician comes up with something and says something, and now he's all of a sudden guilty. But let's look at the facts even deeper. Let's look even further. So, not only has Dr. Disrespect been critical of COVID, and he was critical of all the different things that are going on during COVID, he defended Nick Merckx when he told the LGBT community to leave the kids alone. And actually, he went so far to defend Nick Merckx that he actually deleted Call of Duty, which is the game that banned Nick Merckx's skin. So, I don't know how to really explain this. Nick Merckx had an operator skin. Basically, he was in the video game. If you paid like $20, you could use his operator skin. You could use his operator character in the video game. And then Call of Duty ended up taking it away because he said, leave the kids alone. That's the real problem. And Dr. Disrespect deleted the Call of Duty game because of it. Now, Nick Merckx has stepped up for Dr. Disrespect. There's other YouTubers or other streamers and YouTubers that stepped up for him. Basically, the only people against Dr. Disrespect here are the morons. The people who are just completely brain dead, dumb. The same guys who believe things like Brett Kavanaugh were guilty or whatever. Same kind of idiotic people. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next thing. So, Trump is going to be banning the Department of Education. So this is a great thing, because for those of you that don't know, the Department of Education is trash. It's just awful. So recently Trump has gone on to say that he'd be getting rid of the Department of Education, and he said that he wanted to bring powers back to the states, and he even said that he wants individualized education as it should be. Everyone knows that education isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. What one group of people might need is going to be different from what others need. So, I think leaving it to the states is a good thing. It's actually the constitutional thing, actually. The Department of Education is actually unconstitutional. Completely unconstitutional. The District of Education, or the Department of Education, I thought I was saying something wrong there. The Department of Education was founded in 1973, or 1979. So, for those of you who don't know, 1979 was the same year that the three-point line was added to the NBA. So, we have this department that the government spends like $70 million on or so every single year, that's been around for the same amount of time as the 3-point line in the NBA, and it's showed little results. Little results have come from the Department of Education. For the last 45 years, it's been a complete waste of like $7 million every single year because it's completely useless. The Department of Education has nothing to do with schools. Like, very little. I'd even go as far as to say if Trump were to ban the Department of Education and just didn't tell anybody about it, just banned it and got rid of it, no one would even notice. I would go as far and say that. Because it doesn't do much. They don't really do anything. It's not like if the Department of Education gets shut down that all schools are going to get shut down along with it. Okay, which I already know. I already see this coming. This is going to be a left-wing thing that people are going to say. From now on, people are going to say that he's trying to take away our education from our kids. He's trying to make our kids dumb, which is not the case. And the left is going to try to use this as a fear-mongering tactic to get people to vote against Trump. Also, I mentioned earlier that it's completely unconstitutional. Now, I know that nobody cares about things being unconstitutional because our Constitution is just a piece of paper. And as we've learned, if something's written on a piece of paper, no one cares about it. The department has also harmed the education system, in my opinion. Academic performance of students since the Department of Education has actually gone down. So since it's been implemented, it's actually gone down. The Washington Examiner actually pushes this point even more. This is a quote from one of their articles saying, this is an article, by the way, talking about the education scores, for a little context. This tells us something important. Funding is not what determines educational outcomes. This has been known since at least the 1990s. So according to this article, we've known since the 1990s that just because a school has more funding does not mean that it's going to have better results. So if a school gets $100 billion, it does not mean that school is going to be the best school in the nation. That's what that study is showing. When the review of 400 studies on the subject found that there was not a lot of strong or consistent relationship between students' performance at schools, or between students' performance and school resources. So just because a school doesn't have a lot of resources doesn't mean that the kids are going to turn out dumb. For example, I went to a very low-funded school. In my high school, I went to a private school in high school, and the funding wasn't the best. However, the education was pretty good. Still, we had some liberal garbage in there, like climate change and stuff like that. But besides that, like, it was a good education. It was definitely better than the public school education that's here, which is funded so much so they're literally spending like $10 million on a new sports thing. But anyway, I digress. Not important. We can also look at this is once again from the article. We can also look at the states we can also look at the state of some of our most well-funded districts in this country, which as Baltimore City schools, which depend more, or which spends more than $21,000 per student, or Chicago Public Schools, which spent almost $30,000 per student. And in each of those districts, there were at least a dozen of schools where not a single student tested proficient in either math or reading. So, the Department of Education, and now that's not completely just the Department of Education, that's just talking about monetizing schools in general, but that just goes to show that the Department of Education isn't really necessary. Now, before this gets brought up, because I already know it is, there is an education chart from the 1970s. It talks about the scores since the 1970s. And the chart shows that from the 1970s, it goes down to about 1978. So it goes down. It's going down like this till 1978. And then it starts going up. And most people are going to relate this to the Department of Education being implemented. But that's not the case. Okay? Because the chart is talking about mathematics. And for those of you who know history, during the 70s, like mid-70s, is when calculators started becoming more prominent in schools. That's when people started using calculators more. So it's very reasonable to suggest that the calculators and calculators being more predominant in schools is actually what caused the education scores to go up. Because obviously a tool that will literally give you a pinpoint accurate answer to a question, and you can ask it any question you want, of course that's going to help the education scores go up. That just makes sense. The reason why the Department of Education doesn't help is if you look at the reading scores. Reading, by the way, which is something that you can't just plug into a calculator. You have to actually do it. Stayed about the same. And then in 2012 had a big boost. And then it has a huge dip around the 2020s. There's a huge dip after 2012. And then an even bigger dip after 2020. Now, the big dips on both scales after the 2020s could be because of COVID. They definitely are because of COVID. Because we unnecessarily left kids home for COVID purposes, even though the statistics showed that that actually made it worse. The spreading of COVID actually got worse when people were staying home with their families. Because the idea was that if you stay home with your families quarantined, you're not going to spread COVID out and around. But actually what ended up happening is that you stayed enclosed with somebody with COVID. And then you probably caught COVID afterwards. And you can't always tell with COVID. And then you went out after the person tested positive for it. So actually the shutdowns actually made it worse. So that's terrible what they did with the kids there. Plus, like, the whole the quarantine ruined the education system as it is. But it does not stop the fact that the DOE is completely useless. And it's a great thing that Trump is going to shut it down because it's going to help us from being able to lower our taxes. It's going to push us in the direction of us lowering our taxes and us being able to lower taxes. Because $70 million is not going to be going to some garbage. I'm not even sure if it's $70 million. It's probably more than that. So, you got to check this out. So, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and what's that last guy's name? Can't think of Jamal Bowman. I wanted to make sure I got that right. So Bernie Sanders, Jamal Bowman, and AOC had a big event. It was called Rally at the Bronx. And it's one of the most embarrassing campaign events in history. I watched it. Oh my goodness, dude. It was so embarrassing, dude. If I supported these guys, I'd be so embarrassed. This is a complete freak show. And this is why people don't respect American politics, because this is this kind of stupidity that is expected out of us because of just how idiotic our country is. So AOC, who is 34 years old, by the way. Okay, 34. She was born in 1989. So, for those of you who don't know, she is the same age as the Die Hard movie. So, yeah, sorry for ruining the movie Die Hard for you. But, yeah, she's as old as Die Hard. And sadly, she shares my birthday, which just... that ruins my birthday as well. So, we have a trade-off here. Okay? We have a trade-off. While I was studying for this episode, I ruined my own birthday because now I know that AOC's birthday is also my birthday. So I had to ruin something for you as well. So good luck trying to watch Die Hard ever again. But basically, AOC was jumping around on stage. Literally, like dancing around, jumping on stage. And she was listening to crappy rap music. She was listening to Cardi B, which is a trend of the Democratic Party for some reason. They really like Cardi B. Bernie Sanders was like hanging out with Cardi B in like 2018, 2019. And then Joe Biden had that interview with Cardi B in 2020. And he even said in that interview that he was a big fan of her and that he listened to her music, which is just hilarious because can you imagine like a 70-something-year-old Joe Biden like throwing it back to WAP or something? Ridiculous. And, you know, AOC runs on the stage. I kid you not. She's like running on the stage, running around the stage like she's the ultimate warrior. I'm not kidding when I say this, dude. And she even takes her hair down, and she kind of looks like the Ultimate Warrior when she put her hair down there for a second because it was all messed up. And, you know, the idea that AOC's even a respected political figure in America is ridiculous. She's a respected political figure in America, and it's a complete joke. Oh, but she's trying to appeal to the younger audience. She's trying to appeal to young people. That's dumb. Why are you trying to appeal to young people? Young people are typically people who don't know much about politics. Young people typically don't understand politics. I say typically. I'm an exception to that rule. Okay? And, you know, as a respectable politician, you shouldn't act like a teenager. If you want to be a respectable politician, you shouldn't act like a teenager. You just shouldn't. Vivek Ramaswamy, you would never see him in a million years act like that. Trump Jr., you would never see him act like that. Now you'll see Trump dancing on stage, but he's not like robust and acting like that. You know, Trump's just more reserved and stuff like that. As a president should be. Presidents should be mature. You should be able to look at a president and go, yes, this guy is a mature guy. You should be able to sense a sign of maturity in your president. Or a politician in general. Obviously, she's not the president. And at this event, it was funny because one of the slogans at this event was, billionaires can't buy elections. I kid you not. That was actually one of the slogans at this event. And the reason why this is ironic is because majority of billionaires donate to the Democratic Party. So ironic, dude. But the young guys, the hip young guys, don't know that. So it's fine. They can get away with it because the hip young guys don't know that much. Other people at this event, like I said, include Bernie Sanders, who, that's the guy who went on for years and years saying how nobody should pay their employees less than $15 an hour, whilst also paying his employees less than $15 an hour. Jamal Bowman was also there, and he rapped along with an inappropriate rap song on stage about black people killing black people, which is perfectly appropriate for a political rally. And the lyrics of this song include, I put my lifetime in between the paper lines. I'm the quiet storm N-word who fight rhyme. P, yeah, you heard of him? You ain't. P, yeah, you heard of him? But I ain't concerned with them. Enter, I pop more guns than you holdin' them. Make my route while the sun's out and scold your men. Unload 10 in broad daylight. Get right. F your life. Hop on my 98 dirt bike. You try to stop mines from growing. I'll make your blood stop flowing. Take affirmative action to my A if he askin'. Now there come the Mac 10. Use a D-word blowin', trying to speak the done language. So yes, this is a perfectly appropriate song to be playing at a political event. Perfectly appropriate, dude. You should definitely vote for these guys. These guys are the kind of guys that should run our country. But if all of this culminated, if this wasn't all embarrassing enough, what I find the funniest thing about this event, the funniest thing about this event is that the left is eating itself. So, the big issue right now is the Israel and Palestine conflict. Whatever side of the conflict you're on doesn't really matter, to me at least. But there are Palestine protesters. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, you're going to think this is funny. That's what I'm trying to say. There are Palestinian protesters saying that the endorsing of Biden is endorsing the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And the reason why I find this funny is that the left knows it can't do anything about this conflict. And most people know that Trump is the guy who can stop this conflict from happening. He's the guy who could stop this in a heartbeat. He wouldn't even struggle. It would just happen. Heck, he'd probably just do it on accident. He probably wouldn't even mean to do it. Like Trump's so good at keeping peace that even if he wanted to go to war, he would still end up making peace on accident. It's just something that happens with Trump. He is the best president when it comes to foreign affairs ever. And, that's not an understatement. That's not nothing to scoff at either. When you have presidents out there like Ronald Reagan and Nixon and Andrew Jackson, for example, who had really good foreign affairs policies, Trump is the best out of all of them, which is just impressive to say, at the least. So this is the last thing of the day. So I found out that social media, well, I didn't find this out, I've known this for a while, but social media, at least Meta, is ran by pedos. Not actually pedos touching kids, but pedos in the sense that they like to sexualize kids and expose kids to sexual content, which in my opinion is also pedophilia. According to the Wall Street Journal, Instagram promotes sexual content to kids in their early teens. So these tests they're run for 7 months, and they found out that was the case. The Wall Street Journal ran multiple studies, and they found out that Instagram belligerently promotes sexual content, extremely sexual content, to kids. In January, around the time of that court case involving Meta, where it was shown that child SA content was on their website, they said that they were going to give kids a more age-appropriate experience by restricting sensitive content. So, this study, what we're learning here, this study was done in between or around the before and after parts of that major event. So it happened before. I'm guessing it started in this study started in December, and it just ended about 5 days ago. So we got the before and after, and this study shows that nothing changed, basically. The study was done, like I said, it was done before and after the statement and the court case, and according to this research, the teenage accounts were exposed to explicitly sexual content within 3 minutes of the app being of a new account. So if you have a teenage kid, if you have a teenager, and he has Instagram or he has any Meta ran sites, any of the apps ran by Meta, your kid is probably going to be exposed to sexual content within minutes. In less than 300 seconds, your kid is going to be exposed to sexual content. That's not a very long time. Seeing as, reels are like 1 minute long. So we're literally saying here, within on average, this is according to the study, within 3 swipes, they're already being exposed to sexual content. According to the study, it says it just started out with women provocatively dancing, and then slowly it got worse. Within 20 minutes of scrolling, the accounts were filled with adult content creators. Some posts even offering nudes for engagement. So there are some accounts on Instagram who will send nudes if you like and comment and stuff like that and follow, and you send proof, and then it's nasty. And according to this study, teenagers are being exposed to this kind of content. And supposedly we don't have a porn epidemic in this country. No, porn's not a problem. Get the heck out of here. Some posts... Whoops. So, mind you, the same company who will censor certain Bible verses on Facebook, who will literally blur out Bible verses for sensitive content. The same company who took down a photo of a dog for nudity, and the same company who took down blurry photos from Hunter Biden's laptop because they're sexual content. They're too sexual for the site. Yet you could promote your OnlyFans? Even the company's own statistics show that this is the case. In 2022, according to the statistics of Meta themselves, in 2022, teens were exposed to more hate speech, bullying, violence, and unwanted nudity than adults were, which should be terrifying to all people. So, what are we going to do about this? This is probably true 100%, but I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do my own experiment on this. I'm going to make a video on it myself to dive into it. And I want to see the results for myself. So I'm going to go even further with this. So I'm going to create an Instagram account for a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old, and a 16-year-old. I'm going to make accounts for each of them and see what the results are. I'm going to see how many times we're exposed and the expansiveness of the content that they're being exposed to. And I'm going to do 12-year-olds as well, because I want to see if preteens are also being exposed to this kind of content and being exposed to similar content. I'm just very curious how that works. So yeah, there's going to be an experiment on that soon. We'll see. You're going to see that video come out soon. So anyway, I hope it makes it for you guys. I make content like this every single day. This is going to be the end of my show. Give it a like if you liked it. Comment, subscribe for more. Like I said, I post content like this every weekday. Give me your thoughts down below. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.